We often imagine the spiritual path as a wild, untamed frontier, a place of sudden epiphanies, transcendent moments, and radical freedom from the mundane. Habit, with its connotations of routine, predictability, and even drudgery, seems like its very antithesis. Isn't spirituality about breaking free, not building cages? Yet, beneath this apparent contradiction lies a profound truth. For the sincere seeker, consciously crafted habits are not shackles, but sacred scaffolding, essential for ascending towards the light. The initial resistance is understandable. Habit can indeed be the enemy of presence. Mindless repetition, the autopilot of daily existence, numbs us to the sacred energy of God shimmering within the ordinary activities we engage in. We brush our teeth, commute, scroll feeds, all while our inner world sleeps. This is habit as unconsciousness, the very fog the spiritual seeker aims to dispel. But what if we reclaim habit? What if instead of being its passive victim, we become its conscious architect? This is where the alchemy happens. Skillfully employed, habits transform from obstacles into powerful allies. How can this alchemy happen? As with all things spiritual or growth-related, a paradigm shift and resetting of awareness is the cornerstone to transformation. Let us examine the ways we can make habits work in our favor on the spiritual path instead of otherwise. As our hallmark on this channel, we will keep it simple, relatable, and ultimately practicably applicable to the seeker, regardless of their level of spiritual evolution. 1. Habit as the crucible of consistency. Spiritual growth rarely occurs in sporadic bursts. It's the slow, patient cultivation of inner qualities, compassion, mindfulness, equanimity. Like a river carving stone, consistent practice is key. A daily habit of meditation, even for 20 minutes, creates a container where awareness can deepen over time. Regular prayer or mindful reflection becomes a rendezvous with the sacred, anchoring the seeker amidst life's turbulence. Without this regularity, inspiration flickers and dies. With it, a steady flame is nurtured. The habit becomes the commitment made tangible. 2. Habit as a container to conserve the precious energy of will. We all know that the human will is actually a finite resource. The drudgery of deciding anew every single day, whether to meditate, practice gratitude, or engage in selfless service, can really drain our precious energy. But a well-established habit bypasses this constant internal negotiation, setting us free from that burden and distraction. When sitting in meditation becomes as automatic as breathing upon waking, the seeker conserves volitional energy for the quality of the practice itself, for deepening focus, for observing the subtle movements of the mind, for genuine connection. Thus, the habit acts like an autopilot steering the ship, freeing the captain, our conscious awareness, for navigation and observation. 3. Habit as a means of creating sacred space in the mundane. If we are honest, habits can sanctify the ordinary. They can easily act as a gateway to the sublime. For example, the mindfulness of counting beads in Islam or Catholicism in themselves are mere actions. But because of what that somatic event induces in the mind of the seeker, these seemingly mundane acts become ladders to ascend, creating a sacred space of ascension for each practitioner immediately upon commencement of the act or habit. Again, a habit of pausing for 3 conscious breaths before each meal can transform eating from mere consumption into a moment of gratitude and presence. A habit of a mindful walk in nature, even a short one, becomes a daily pilgrimage, attuning the senses to the divine artistry in a leaf or the song of a bird. Lighting a candle while journaling, that simple act can signal a shift into inner sanctuary. These small, repeated rituals imbue daily life with intention, turning the profane into portals for the sacred. The habit, in this way, ritualizes the ordinary. 4. Habit as a means of creating an anchor in the storm. the spiritual journey is not always serene mountaintops. Developing a rooting habit can serve as an anchor during turbulent times. Doubt, distraction, despair, and honestly, just the sheer busyness of life. These are all frequent storms. In moments such as these, the seeker simply needs to recall their routinely ingrained mantra, their habitually internalized grounding verse or ritual. This process is a reflex that should hopefully happen without conscious awareness. In these moments, the deep groove of a supportive habit provides an unshakable anchor. When feeling lost, the familiar motion of sitting on the cushion, the recitation of a comforting prayer, or the physical posture of yoga can reconnect the seeker to their center before conscious thought even catches up. The habit becomes a lifeline back to the path, a refuge built through repetition. 5. Habit as a means of training the wild mind. As we all agree, our minds are naturally restless, prone to distraction and negativity. Even for advanced spiritual seekers, this weakness remains a significant daily challenge. Habits then act as gentle trainers. The repeated return to a mantra in meditation trains attention. The habit of consciously replacing a critical thought with one of kindness reshapes neural pathways toward compassion. The regular practice of noting sensations without judgment cultivates equanimity. Over time, these micro-habits rewire the brain, aligning its default patterns more closely with the qualities the seeker aspires to embody. The habit becomes the sculptor of the inner landscape. Crucially, the beneficial habit for the seeker is never about robotic repetition. We must infuse it with awareness and intention. It requires periodic examination. Crucial questions like, does this practice still serve my growth? Has it become hollow? All serve as resetting mechanisms to prevent a drift into empty drudgery. As with building any edifice of note and worth, the scaffolding must be adjusted as the building rises. The greatest masters understood this paradox. Monastic traditions worldwide are built upon rhythmic habits of prayer, work, study, and silence, not to imprison the spirit, but to create the stable conditions for its ultimate liberation. The Zen monk's meticulous tea ceremony is a habit honed to perfection, revealing the infinite in the finite act. Therefore, for the spiritual seeker, the question is not whether habits can be beneficial. It is more about which habits, how they are cultivated, and what scaffolding purpose they serve. In this regard, discernment is key. Choose habits that align with your deepest intention, habits that cultivate presence, kindness, and inner stillness. Practice them not mechanically, but with a heart full of intention and eyes wide open to the unfolding moment within the familiar act. In this light, habit ceases to be the jailer of the spirit and becomes its devoted gardener. It is the steady rhythm that allows the seeker to dance with the divine. The repeated note that builds the symphony of awakening, the sacred scaffolding that, once the temple is complete, gracefully falls away, leaving only the radiant, liberated self. By the way, I am writing this piece at 5 a.m. this morning. I've just realized that this habit, which I've cultivated over the years, has become a valuable ally in my spiritual growth. That realization further inspires me to encourage you to find a solution that benefits both you and humanity. In another video, I will share practical tips to form one particularly life-changing habit. This habit rewires your entire being to create a new reality, each day. However, this will only happen if 100 viewers write life-changing habit in the comment box below. For today, kindly get yourself a set of uplifting habits, practice them for 21 consecutive days, and watch your spiritual life transform exponentially. Until then, remain renewed on all levels.